So, in the next couple of episodes, I want to talk about some conversational behaviors, some rhetorical techniques that folks use, perhaps in a negative way, and you might find yourself struggling to deal with them, as I often have. When people will interact with you using some of these techniques, you'll find that progress gets stymied, the conversation gets uncomfortable and muddied. And in overall, the people that are applying these techniques in many ways are not actively doing so intentionally. They are being sort of puppeted by some underlying emotions and behaviors. So, without judgment, we're going to talk about these things and what they look like so that you can recognize them either in yourself or in the people around you, so you can uh, sort of manage them as understanding what the technique is and how it works and why it works. So today, I want to talk about one of the more insidious techniques, in my opinion, for rhetorical sort of conversations. So when you're having a conversation with somebody, people will do this, and they will uh, very, very quickly overwhelm you emotionally if you're not careful. So this technique is called weaponized ignorance. And so weaponized ignorance, what it does is it eliminates any education or any specialized knowledge from the conversation. And what people will do is say, well, I don't know anything about that, or I wasn't here for the history of this, or I don't know how this happened. And then you'll hear the kind of pause that comes in, and then you'll get, but, and then they'll go on with whatever their opinion is. So what that does is it eliminates anyone having specialized knowledge, personalized history, direct involvement or engagement. It's used as a technique to either cement the status quo or try and kind of bully the conversation into the outcomes that the person using this technique wants. It is, to be clear, it is an abusive technique. It flattens the conversation and it eliminates the potential for diversity of experience, thought, education, any of those things. It is an intention seeking technique. We use this technique when we apply it to essentially get access to a conversation and say, look at me, I'm important, even though I don't know the things you know. You'll often use this for moral leverage as well by reducing the sort of cognitive load of the conversation. You will essentially try and appeal to a moral principle which dictates a different outcome than a rational sort of inquiry would do. And the other things that happen with this as well, and probably one of the more important parts, is by effectively someone claiming ignorance or weaponizing their ignorance in a conversation, they are trying to get their way out of the accountability part of the conversation by sort of going along with the expert or by surrendering visibly into the conversation. They are essentially saying, well, I just did what the experts were telling me to do, or I just did what the person who knew more than me was telling me to do. So therefore, the outcomes are not my fault, nor are they my responsibility. Part of the reason this is so super insidious is because the weaponized ignorance as a conversational sort of element masquerades as legitimate vulnerability. It comes across as I don't know, which is a vulnerable statement. When you say I don't know, you're kind of throwing yourself onto the mercy of the conversation, right? When you say I don't know, it appears to be a vulnerability. And what that does is it pulls you in emotionally. So you either spend a lot of emotional labor trying to do the education piece, which is irrelevant anyway, because the education that you might provide in the conversation is going to be completely ignored in service to, the escape from the outcomes, that kind of thing. When you look at this as a technique, again, it's super insidious, and it invites a lot of emotional investment, and probably in a way that is counterproductive or difficult to process. And so you'll find yourself kind of perpetually struggling in a conversation like this to have the sort of cognitive breathing room and the oxygen required to move the conversation forward. The best thing to do if you find yourself in a conversation like this, if it's possible, is just don't engage, right? So don't bite on the bait of I don't know anything about this, or don't bite on the bait of trying to expose the entire personal history, because again, there's nothing sufficient. There will be no sufficiency to essentially counter the subsequent, well, I still wasn't here, so I still don't know. The thing about weaponized ignorance as a technique is that hole can never be filled. There was no way for you to essentially take someone out of the weaponized ignorant state, because it's not really a state. It's a technique, right? So as you see this, if you find yourself saying it like, well, I don't know anything about this, but stop what you're doing. Think about what's going on in your own mind. Think about what you might be protecting or trying to shy away from, and figure out how you might proceed in a way that allows people to bring their expertise to the table for the benefit of everyone in the room. As you go through this discovery process, take your time, because this is all raw territory. It's very easy to spot weaponized ignorance when you get an eye for it, but it's still insidious in its sort of how you're going to get it to stop. So with that, go forth and try to defend yourself from the slings and arrows of other people's sort of projection. And I wish you luck. If you have experience with this, you've successfully solved the problem in the past, or you're good at how to deal with this, let us know. I'll be happy to either have you come on the show and do a guest spot, or take some of your work and help you write an article and put it out on the website. You can reach me at brian@amasonswork.com.